Hi, this is Tara-Nicholle Nelson, and BiblioTherapy is in session. This week in BiblioTherapy, we'll examine the challenge of how to start a business when you're broke. I once read a Susie Orman article where she put together a list of her 4 things that she thought every wannabe entrepreneur should have in place before they got started on their business. First, she wanted them to have a 720 credit score, nearly perfect. Second, she wanted them to have a sound understanding of the operations and tax rules that would apply to their business. Third, she wanted them to actually have some experience operating the exact same sort of business that they were planning to start. And fourth, she wanted them to have a year's worth of operating expenses for the business in the bank on top of 8 months worth of living expenses that she wanted them to have in their own emergency sort of lifestyle fund. Now, I am all for planning to anticipate and solve in advance for pain points that are going to come down the road. But if I could respectfully state my opinion on this list of prerequisites to starting a business, I'd have to say something like, get the heck out of here, Susie! Who on earth would ever have started any business if they had all of those things in place up front? The fact is, most of the inspirational business leaders of our time started with little or nothing. Steve Jobs started in a garage. Sarah Blakely started with $5,000 and a pair of pantyhose that she cut the feet out of. There are times in your life and in your career, especially if you're an entrepreneurial sort of person, where the pace of the world, of the markets, of consumer expectations, of technological innovations and our access to them begins to evolve so rapidly that it creates an opportunity that you really cannot afford to miss to launch your vision into this world. Now, I understand that people like Ms. Orman want to be very cautious, frankly, and they want you to be cautious about the sizable financial risks of starting a business. But I submit to you that those risks are manageable and they can be mitigated. I also submit to you that we are living in one of those transformational inflection points right this moment, where the risks of staying put and not moving forward on your business, not moving forward on your vision, are actually beginning to outweigh the risks that you would face by moving forward. I've just come through one of those times myself, one of these transformational inflection points, and I chose action. I hope you do too, and it's from that perspective that I offer you my 3 suggestions for how to start a business if you're broke, and my prescriptions for the resources that can help you execute. Number 1, rethink your assumptions. Listen, if you think you need X number of thousands of dollars to start a business, that assumption will become a self-fulfilling prophecy and you will not move forward until that dependency is met. That means if you never get X number of thousands of dollars, you will never move forward. It's very easy for our assumptions to become our limitations and to also become the places where we get stuck. The $100 Startup is a book that really sets out to shatter any assumptions or limiting thinking that you've been holding about what it actually takes to get started on your own business, especially as it concerns startup capital. The author, his name is Chris Gilbeau. He's a very popular blogger and content publisher in the areas of entrepreneurship and travel hacking. And this book synthesizes the results of a study that he did on 1,500 people who he groups into a category called micro-entrepreneurs. These people all started their businesses with less than $1,000. Over a third of them actually started with $100 or less. And to be included in the study, as a minimum, they were making $50,000 a year with these businesses, and many of them were making into the multiple 6 figures. The $100 Startup gives you access to the common market testing strategies, product development resources, decision-making guides that all of these micro-entrepreneurs used to really start and grow thriving businesses with very, very few resources. And in the process, it does 2 things. The first is that it literally kills any assumptions, or shall I say excuses, that you may have been making about starting your business, or why you can't, or what you need first, or what's got you stuck. And the second thing that it does is it gives you the actual tools, the informational resources to get your business launched with $100 or less, often in as little as a month. Number 2, launch an MVP. MVP stands for Minimum Viable Product, which is the cornerstone of the now classic book, The Lean Startup, and the entire cottage industry of lean startup methodology resources that have sprung up around this book, in which Eric Ries adapts the product development philosophy of the Toyota Corporation so that any business, big or small, new or old, can get a product to market quickly in its minimally viable form, rather than falling into that trap where the perfect becomes the enemy of the good and products take forever to develop and frankly aren't necessarily any better than they would have been had they been launched the lean startup way. In fact, lean startup methodology says get the product out there quickly so that you can begin to strategically gather and listen to market feedback and use that feedback to help direct how you iterate and tweak the product, or even completely take a different direction, pivoting the product or pivoting the company. Now, the Lean Startup is a serious management philosophy book. Now, and I personally think that anyone who creates anything, whether you're an entrepreneur, a writer, an artist, any sort of innovator, can actually benefit from and get a lot of inspiration from Lean Startup methodology. However, unless you're a serious like C-suite business person, you might find the book to be a little heavy on the philosophy, and you may be able to get all of the inspiration and resources that you need, everything from case studies to videos to even meetups, links to meetups of people who espouse this philosophy in your area, from the online resources, from the Lean Startup actual website, from Eric Ries, his other blog, which is called Startup Lessons Learned. There are a number of videos that are really valuable, and so I've included links to all of those resources in the companion blog post to this video. Number 3, power tweak, iterate, and use your MVP to get more resources if you need them. The Ultralight Startup by serial tech entrepreneur Jason Baptiste has a ton of information for people who have a tech product they want to launch, but they don't have VC money and they don't have the contacts to get it. The Ultralight Startup actually offers you resources for how to launch your actual product in its MVP form in one weekend. The Ultralight Startup, like the Lean Startup and like the $100 Startup, also has amazing resources that any entrepreneur can use, but I know that a number of people are out there trying to figure out which one should I buy, the $100 Startup or the Ultralight Startup. Here's how to know. If you are trying to start a content business, a service business, any sort of brick and mortar business, or a business in which you want to be the only employee, this is the definition of micro entrepreneurship, the $100 Startup is your best bet for that program. If you're trying to start any sort of tech company, app company, gaming company, web startup, or you think that you're going to be at a place at some time in the future where you're going to want to raise venture capital, I would strongly urge you to go with the Ultralight Startup. Of course, if you can buy both, you're really getting the best of all worlds. And in the companion blog post to this video, you'll find links to all of these books, to a number of other supplementary resources, and to a couple of crowdfunding sites like Kiva and Kickstarter, where someone who needs some cash to get started but is not really up for raising venture capital can go to get anywhere from $500 to $5 million. In fact, a client of mine recently raised $10 million on Kickstarter, and they weren't even trying to. These resources can help you find the workarounds that other people have already found and proven to be successful. They can help you anticipate and solve for the challenges that you may face if you do decide to stop being a someday entrepreneur and go ahead and get started on your business even though you happen to be broke. Now, if you found this video useful, please like it and share it and rate it, depending on where you're seeing it, and use the link in the companion blog post to tell me what it is that you're trying to rethink. Submit your own challenge, and I will try to answer it in an upcoming bibliotherapy session.